Imagine a morning in the 6th century. You wake up, step outside, and look at the sky. Normally, the sun would rise bright and golden, warming the earth. But today, the sun is pale. It shines faintly, more like a dim moon than the powerful star you know. The light feels weak, the warmth is gone, and the world seems covered in a grey veil. Days pass, then weeks, then months, and still, the sky refuses to brighten. Priests whisper of curses. Farmers wonder if their gods have abandoned them. Across the world, fear grows that the end of time has arrived. Historians today call it the worst year to be alive. The year was 536. In the Byzantine Empire, a historian named Procopius left us a haunting description. He wrote, "The sun gave forth its light without brightness, like the moon, during the whole year." In Ireland, monks recorded failed harvests. The fields, usually filled with wheat and barley, stood barren. People starved, some abandoning monasteries to wander in search of food. Far away in China, court records tell of a mysterious haze. Summer snows fell, rivers froze out of season, and the sun refused to shine clearly. Now imagine the fear of ordinary people. Farmers stood in their fields, waiting for crops that would not grow. Children looked to the sky, but instead of daylight, they saw endless twilight. They had no science to explain it. No meteorology, no volcanology, no satellites. For them, it was simple. The heavens were angry, and humanity had been plunged into a cursed age. Centuries later, modern science would uncover the truth. In the frozen north of Greenland and the frozen south of Antarctica, ancient ice preserved a secret. When scientists drilled deep into the ice, they found layers from the year 536 filled with volcanic ash and sulfur. The evidence was clear. This was the mark of a colossal eruption. Another clue came from the trees of Scandinavia. Tree rings showed almost no growth for nearly a decade. The summers had been too cold, the sunlight too weak for trees to flourish. Together, these signs told a story. A massive volcanic eruption had filled the stratosphere with sulfur and ash. The fine particles created a thin veil across the sky, blocking the warmth of the sun. This phenomenon is called a volcanic winter, and in 536, the volcanic winter stretched across the world, plunging humanity into years of cold, hunger, and fear. The consequences were devastating. In Europe, crops withered, harvests failed year after year. Hungry families stripped bark from trees, boiled weeds, and chewed on leather to survive. Villages emptied as people fled in desperation. In China, rice paddies froze, snow fell in the middle of summer. Records describe famine, mass migration, and communities shattered by hunger. In the Middle East, drought weakened trade routes. The mighty Byzantine Empire felt its foundations shake, and as if famine were not enough, a new horror struck only a few years later, the Justinian Plague. It began in Egypt, spread through ships, and reached Constantinople. The grand capital of Byzantium turned into a graveyard. Chronicles say thousands died each day. By the time it ended, nearly half the empire's population was gone. Historians now believe the plague was made deadlier by famine. Weakened bodies, starved of nutrition, were defenseless against disease. For the people of the 6th century, it felt as if the world itself was ending. The sky was dark, the earth gave no food, and death waited in every shadow. So where did this disaster begin? Which volcano was powerful enough to dim the sun? Scientists have three main suspects. First, Iceland. Ash found in polar ice seems to match volcanic glass from the North Atlantic. If Iceland erupted, its ash clouds would have spread across Europe and beyond. Second, Ilopango in El Salvador. In Central America, a vast crater lake marks the site of one of the largest eruptions in 2,000 years. The timing fits, and its ash would have poisoned skies across the Americas. And third, Krakatoa in Indonesia. An ancient Javanese text, known as the Pereratan, describes a colossal eruption around the 6th century. This may have been the so-called Proto-Krakatoa, an eruption far greater than the famous disaster of 1883. If true, then the lands of Southeast Asia may have helped plunge the entire planet into darkness. Some scientists believe the answer is not one volcano, but several. Multiple eruptions, close together, magnified each other's effects. The result, nearly 2 years without a proper summer. The year 536 did not pass without leaving scars. It changed cultures, myths, and even the course of empires. In Scandinavia, stories of a great winter, the Fimbulwinter, became part of Norse mythology, a long dark cold that would come before Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. Perhaps those myths were born from memories of the endless winter of 536 in Europe. The combination of famine and plague weakened Byzantium. Historians argue that this was the true beginning of the so-called Dark Ages, a time of collapse, decline, and struggle. In Asia, kingdoms were shaken by hunger and unrest. Trade shifted, populations migrated, and new powers emerged in the ruins of the old. A single natural event had reshaped the destiny of civilizations. The world would never be the same. The year 536 stands as a warning. Humanity may build cities, kingdoms, and empires, but we remain fragile in the face of nature's power. To the people of the 6th century, the dark sky was a curse from the gods. To us today, it is the fingerprint of a volcanic eruption, or perhaps several, that shook the entire planet. Was it Iceland, Ilopango, or Krakatoa in the islands of Indonesia? The mystery is not fully solved, but one truth is clear. In the year 536, the sun disappeared, and the world almost collapsed into darkness.